You see the DraftKings logo. That means this show today is brought to you by DraftKings Sportsbook, only the top rated sportsbooking app in all of North America. We talking about them being safe, secure, and most important, reliable. And on top of that, man, we also know that we got promo codes. Shout out to the promo code. It is MOATS. For the new customers out there, you download that app. First bet of $5, you'll receive $150 in your bonus bets. It is a dope, pretty cool concept, man, and obviously could add for a little bit more excitement on game days as well. But we also know that at times you can get lost in the sauce. You might develop a gambling problem. If you do and you're in New York, you see the number that you can text. But for everybody else, the digits to dial are 1-800 Gambler. I think Greg Yeager.
Greg Yeager says, what Steeler players have we made the most excuses for? I got JPJ.
I would just ask for more context. When you say excuse, like what do you exactly you mean? Or what do you like how do you interpret that?
Someone that's playing bad that we're making excuses for. Adding extra context around there, maybe subpar play.
Because I'm sure this has got to be like subjective, right? In terms of like what we deem as like good player, bad player is what I mean.
Sure. I mean, probably. Yeah, I think.
Because I was like, because objectively, you can't. Like, technically, any of these dudes...
Especially on defense,
yeah,
too.
It was like...
defense more so than offense. Yeah. Offense, you could look... All right, Pickens has X amount of yards, X amount of receptions.
All right, but it's like... Now, unless we go through it...
We could do that with him and say his numbers could even be better if it wasn't for the penalties and stuff, but it's easier for offense.
Yeah, because I'm like, we're not... And basically what I'm saying is this. Like you just brought up, we can highlight the positives from a super easy standpoint offensively, so we will focus on that more. Defensively, we're going to bring up a penalty, or we're going to bring up a single catch or 3 catches, right? But we got to go to talk about the 70-plus other snaps that were played by that player is what I'm bringing up. So that's what I mean, like, what do we mean by excuses? So are we just talking subjectively? Because if we are, then, yeah, everybody's going to have a different opinion on what they think is a good player or not a good player, what they think is successful or not. And that's cool. I just wanted to know ahead of time before we kind of get into that. That's all.
Sure it's not Najee. I'm just joking. Yeah,
I'm joking. I'm serious, but it's like, because some people still look at Najee. Think about it. Najee, the only guy that's done what he's done league-wide, and people still be on the fence about, do you want to commit to him long-term or not? Not even the level of it, just do you even commit to him? Because they're under the belief that, yeah, running backs growing trees, man, just get another one. We don't got to worry about Najee. But objectively, Najee has already proven that he is more outlier than norm.
I see where he's getting at a little bit here. Because
make sure we're on the same page, man.
The problem with me is, though, I actually do think JPJ is playing good, but I think there are people like me that are glossing over the penalties, and some fans may say, like, we shouldn't be glossing over those penalties like that because it's still giving the offense 15 yards just because it's not going on the stat sheet.
It matters.
I think I'm guessing that's where he's getting at with it, but
I like that.
I still think JPJ is playing good, but he actually might be right because I don't know who else is really that polarizing in terms of like how we're talking about him right now. Maybe Patrick Queen, but I think most are in agreement. Whenever we see him out there, you gotta tackle better, bro. Like I don't think we're making excuses for him. Yeah. Whereas with JPJ, with some of the penalties, we're like, hey, you know what? That's just who he is. You're just gonna take that with his type of play. But it's still, I mean, it is still something he needs to clean up long term.
Yeah, and I think cleaning up long term, I agree with. But he was saying excuses. When I think of excuses, I think of we lost. Why did we lose? Man, it's because the referees, man, they was calling all the flags against us, man. The fans was too loud whenever we had the ball. Man, every time we got out there, you know, it was extra cold when we got the ball, and it ain't never was cold when they was out there. That's an excuse to me. That's what I think of when we hear excuses. When I think of what we talk about with the players specifically, I'm like, I don't feel like we make a ton of excuses for any of these dudes. Think of anything, we actually tell you the truth about them. Now, not everybody always agrees with that truth, and I think that's where we kind of get the tension at times, man. But Yeah, I don't feel like we over here making excuses.
That's the only guy
Yeah.
I could think of. If you're just trying to
Because I
answer
was
his
like,
question
people
directly.
used to bring up Minka. People would bring up Minka, and how many times we had.
I don't
Why
think
is
he's.
Minka?
I don't think he's playing bad though.
No,
He's
no.
not having any of the negativity.
No, but
like
what I'm saying is this
JPJ.
though: people still say that Minka is not playing well because he hasn't had a turnover. This been numerous times, not even with you, but I know for a fact on multiple things that I do around Steelers Nation, where yes, that has come up on numerous occasions solely because of a no turnover. But it's like, are we not looking at all of the other that is happening? We go bring up the catches that happened on JPJ, but we just ignore the PBU. We gonna ignore the not the PBU. No, he actually did have a PBU. Yeah, he should have had a pick. But it's like, look, he should have had 2 picks. Yeah, but it's like we ignored that part of it, and it's like, yo, that negative outweighs that play that you made, along with all the other plays where you were matched up as well, and nothing was given up on you. That's all. It's like we like to hyper focus on this side because it's easier to see the negative than to actually take some time to look at the positive in there as well. Whereas offensively, we said, oh man, it's easy to see that. That was good. He had 5 catches for 70 yards. The boy played 50 plays though. So his other 45 don't matter. But because you play defense, you could be locked down for 45, but you give up 5 catches. Hey, them 5 matter way more than the other 45. I'm always disagree with anybody when it pertains to that. That's all. But I like it though. Shout out to the guys.
I'm not ashamed of the excuses I will use for like a JPJ because I typically do say that after he gets a penalty or 2 in these games. I'm like, you know what? He still had a pretty good game, and that's just what you're going to get with JPJ right now. I'll take the good with that. Or I guess the good with the bad right there. I think the good is outweighing the bad with JPJ. I think to his point, though, like, I'm not saying that with Broderick Jones when he gets penalties or someone else gets penalties.
We've called out Broderick a lot too, though. We don't.
Well, that's my
yeah,
we're
that's
not.
what I'm saying. Like,
no,
yeah.
that's my point. Is we're not making excuses for Broderick to the degree that we are with JPJ, or making it seem like we could just overlook these penalties. It's fine.
Does the actual penalty?
And I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I don't think it's a bad take.
You,
I'm fine. I'm fine with those excuses because I do think JPJ's good is outweighing the bad.
I think it's one of those things where if a person already has the mindset that, yo, he's heavily penalized, then they just gloss it over and just throw it in that bag. Whereas if you actually look on a penalty per penalty basis and look at the actual calls, the T. Higgins, we all were watching the same plays, and it's like, okay, you could literally call that a 50-50 because that guy is just as aggressive as that guy. But we're going to hold that play and make that way more is the way it comes off at times. So,
well, that's true too. I also do think
Right.
JP has been getting over penalized at times.
Yeah. But I just think the context of it matters, and it does the argument a disservice when it's just, in my eyes, all the penalties are kind of lumped in there like that. Because it's not the case. Whereas when we look at Broderick and specifically some of his penalties, I feel like the reason why it is criticized and talked about differently is because there isn't the questionable nature of, man, they both going at it. Dang, how you throw that flag? Or why'd you call this one? Then we see GP go out here in the exact same context and you don't call that one. We don't be feeling like that with the project was. We be like, yeah, bro, that was a hole, bro. Yeah, that was bad. That was illegal. You can't do that, bro. Like, that's all. From my perspective, at least.
Yeah.